Hello everyone, and you're so welcome here to narcscon with myself and Remy. We're going to create a podcast today in relation to when does the narcissist start to regret losing you? At what point after they've left or you've discarded them does this happen? We're going to get into kind of why it happens, and we have a very interesting conclusion at the end, which I hope will help anybody who is still trauma bonded to a narcissist and is missing them and is thinking about them and trying to work things out as to, did the narcissist ever love me? Do they regret missing me? What's going on in their head if I'm suffering so much? So I'm hoping this will answer quite a few questions. And if not, leave your questions in the comment and we'll try and get to them and incorporate them in future podcasts. So, to answer the question, when does the narcissist start to regret losing you? And a lot of people think that they never regret losing you. In my opinion, they always regret losing good sources of supply. They do go off thinking that you're banked and they're not going to lose you and you're going to be hooverable. But as that's subconscious, as they go off, they want nothing further to do with you. You're a used up piece of trash. That's the way they look at people. They objectify us, and that is literally what they're thinking when they're leaving. And if anybody was to argue against that, there would be no convincing them that you had any value. So it's the black and white thinking. This is what goes on in the narcissist's head. This is why it's called a personality disorder. This is why we classify it as dark, where there is no empathy or humanity shown. So that's what's happening for the narcissist when they're going off. And I'm not going to tell you otherwise because that's the truth. So various narcissists miss you and regret letting you go and regret losing you at various stages after the relationship has ended. And I'm going to go through this in points. Leaving you, as I've just covered there, just following the notes here, they are delusional. And they literally have felt so buoyed up on everything that they have gotten from you and the relationship that they're full of energy, full of confidence, and they really feel they can conquer the world. Basically, they're full of narcissistic supply. And they're as grandiose as they could ever be. This is now usually when they leave you. The same applies if you leave them. They're not grandiose and delusional, but they want to get you back because, and we'll go through the points here of what they're losing out on. But for the general sense where the narcissist has discarded you eventually, they're going off buoyed up and you're probably wrecked. You are probably very low on energy. You may have adrenal fatigue. You may have had your assets stripped. You may have had your children taken from you. There's dreadful things that the narcissist like to leave you with. They have no care at that point. They are feeling good. They're feeling great about themselves. They think that they're moving on to better things and that nothing bad is going to happen to them. And that is false delusion on the narcissist's part. And that is why I would hate to be a narcissist, basically, because they never learn and they keep doing the same thing over and over again and going through these cycles and never actually awakening to anything, to any progression. They just go up and they go down. They go up and they go down. And they keep engaging with new people for intimate relationships. And the same thing happens over and over again. And if they do happen to stay in a long-term relationship, they are playing away. They're getting their supply from outside the relationship. And that person is having a terrible life. So never look on the person the narcissist stays with and envy them, because it is an extremely unenviable position. Okay, so they're running off. They have gotten everything from you and they're moving on to a new supply. Even if you don't know they're moving on to a new supply, they're definitely working on it. So one of the points after they've left you and they're buoyed up and they go and they're away from you for a number of months, it can even be a year, the point they start to regret losing you is, the first one is if the new supply doesn't work out. Because then they're left high and dry. If the new supply is too hard to control or the new supply ditches them. Because we do tend to think that narcissists always make good decisions in relation to knowing about people, but they don't. They can meet another narcissist. They were lucky to have met you if you sustained a relationship with them and they went off, feeling they were God's gift to Attila the Hun or whoever they thought they were, as I say, as they ride off on their donkey with their little suitcase. That's one of the points that they will start to regret. They will look back and start to regret losing you, knowing they jumped the gun too quickly. Because what they have to face then is a lack of narcissistic supply. They're scrambling around to get it from other people. And they may have left you to go to the new supply who had a house, who had something that they're not going to have to worry about. And then they're left with, having to move in with their elderly parent or whatever. The next point that they're moved inside emotionally to really start thinking about you is in their devaluation cycle. So for anyone that's not familiar, the narcissist has a cycle, a behavior pattern cycle that they cycle through. And they can have a few of these cycles going on at different points with different people consecutively and concurrently. But when they leave you, you're effectively in discard. You've been discarded. The new supply then was love bombed as you were being discarded. Then the new supply moves into devaluation. And you start to rise up again into a possible Hoover position as the narcissist compares and triangulates the new supply with you. Amazingly, as that may seem, as they were walking out telling you that you were the dirtiest piece of dirt and that you were totally useless and to blame for the rain, to blame for anything they could possibly blame you for, you would have gotten blamed for. Now, because of the black and white thinking, the person that's in your position is starting to give a bit of kickback maybe, or just doesn't do things as well as you used to do them. So the narcissist goes, woo, and thinks of you and starts to say to the new supply, well, Nellie didn't do that or Jack didn't do that. And well, this is the way they did it. Maybe you could learn something from them. And because you've come into the narcissist mind, because you were in the same position as the new supply, notice the objectification of people being put in a position for the narcissist. There is a comparative analysis going on. And in the narcissist's little brain, the comparative analysis puts you up again and the new supply down. So you start to look hooverable and the narcissist starts to, I wouldn't probably use the word regret, because for the narcissist to regret, they would have to admit to themselves they made a mistake. So the narcissist form of regretting is to forgive, essentially. To start forgiving and to look on you with forgiveness. They will think, well, you made a lot of mistakes, but you did have your good points. And they may deem you worthy to give you another chance. Not that they made a mistake to leave you. Not that it's a big regret, but that is actually what it is. It's a regret reformed or reframed for the narcissist. So the narcissism is able to accept that they could hoover you. Not that you're a brilliant person, but that you were a flawed person, but they could decide to forgive you and help you improve again. So that's the emotion and analytical mindset that the narcissist gets into in relation to what we would term regret. and what truly is regretting losing you, except that's the way the narcissist has to frame it so it can get, their narcissism can accept it. I hope that makes sense. The next time they start, as we would know it, to regret losing you would be when they have gone off on Freddie the donkey and they're trotting around various different places to see what's what, who's what, where is when, and what they can get. By the by, they stop by, they hold up at the saloon and they hear, oh, their past partner is now doing really well. And imagine how hard that is for someone who has been with a narcissist, has suffered narcissistic abuse and has recovered. I know, and you know what that takes to recover. But now they hear that you're doing really well. And conversely, maybe they're not doing so well, or their partner is not doing so well. That's when they start having, as we term, regret, but having a new look at you. You start to go up in their esteem again. Basically, you start to go up in their calculations again in relation to, oh, I wonder how she did that, or I wonder how he did that. That's a bit of a surprise now, and well, I'm going to check that out. And the narcissist will go and check that out to see exactly what's what, where is when, and how you're doing. And if you're worth having another look at or a glance over. The next time they would regret losing you is if they hear that you're in a new relationship, because that's not meant to happen, and particularly not meant to happen, say, within the first year of the narcissist leaving you. That would be really unheard of with a narcissist, because they've literally planned to put you in a position where you're immobilized, where you're still in a psychological traumatic bond, spiritual bond prison that you're trying, a maze you're trying to work your way out of by understanding exactly what had happened to you, by understanding that you had been in a war with a narcissist. So, you know, from their past learning experience, what they do learn is how to manipulate people and the effects that their manipulation have on people. So by all intents and purposes, and by previous experience and study, you shouldn't be available mentally or in any state to have started a new relationship with anyone. I mean, the prison they left you in, it may not have had any walls, but it was definitely meant to bind you up in every way that mattered, and particularly emotionally. So, yes, they will start to regret losing you if they think they're losing out on something that you're going to be giving to the new supply. So they will remember your value to them, and they have an ownership of that. They when they have a relationship, an intimate relationship with someone of any duration, to them it's a lifetime buy-in. To them, they own you. So, you know, you wonder, like, when you're in a terrible grieving state and you're broken down after the narcissist has left, you're perplexed and totally bewildered by the fact that they're going off really happy. Like, I mean really happy, and not a backward glance, and you think, how was this person professing the deepest, tenderest of love in the love bomb reenactments during the devaluation stage, that they can go off without a care or a doubt, without a backward glance to me, other than to tell me I'm useless. There is no balance, there's no humanity, there's nothing in that. But, you know, you're looking at them and absolutely perplexed. But that's, to them, that's normal. To them, you're used up. They've gotten what they could from you. But if they think that there's something that they left behind, or that you've remanufactured your energy and yourself, and somebody else is coming in to get it, oh, no. Oh, no. That's not going to happen if there is anything they can do about it. And that's when they start to regret losing you. And also because of their black and white thinking, if somebody else is valuing you, then maybe you have a value. It's all about measuring and calculations with narcissists. Never about love. Love is a whole total different ball game. Love doesn't come in to the customs of a person from narcdom. As I go through all of this in the book Weaponized Love, if you really want to understand how a narcissist thinks, feels and acts, it's all there, guys. And that's available on Amazon. But let us not get distracted. So the next time the narcissist starts to regret losing you is when they're low on supply. When they're not getting adulation, they're not getting attention, they're not getting recognition, they're not getting rewarded, or their mask isn't being believed by a lot of people. Their mask isn't powerful enough to make a lot of people have an emotional reaction to them. So the mask isn't essentially very alive. They're in a low state. They're definitely going to look back on periods of time when they felt empowered, which is the nearest they get to happiness, when they had somebody who looked after them well, who loved them, a person that really loved them and gave them things and treasured them. That's the human side of them, but it's a calculated side. That's when they were getting all their narcissistic supply. So if they're low on it, and you were a person that gave them a lot of your love, which they consider narcissistic supply if you're under control and giving them things, they will start to regret missing you in that, again, as we explained, not regret on their terms, but they will want you back. And this is kind of akin to the 6th point, number 7, when their lives go belly up. If something bad happens in their lives, like if they lose their job, or they have somebody who's one of their main sources of supply pass away on them, or if something bad happens, if their house goes on fire, something where in the past you would have picked the pieces up, you would have comforted them, told them it was okay. It's kind of childlike. You would have paid the bills and you would have looked after the crap and the rubbish. You would have done all the admin and all of those things. You would have dealt with it basically like an adult. And then you're not there. And they find that the people around them are lacking and they actually have to deal with this. They actually have to work to solve the problem. They actually have to be accountable for what's happened and sort it out. They don't like doing that if they can't delegate to other people. So yeah, they'd start missing you then for sure. And the last thing I've down here, and then we're going to get to that interesting, what I think is an interesting conclusion to the information you may be looking for on this particular subject about the narcissist missing you and all of those things. And will they come back, and do they regret leaving you, and all of those questions that all of us have at the time, around the time at a different part of the healing stage. If the narcissist gets sick, that is a sure time that they will miss somebody who really loved them, who would really have looked after them. And again, like if something, went belly up in their lives, if they're ill, they want to be looked after like a baby. And because they're not feeling well physically, they are even more entitled because they feel, I shouldn't be not feeling well, and I'm entitled to all of your love and care, and it doesn't matter if you're not feeling well because I'm not feeling well, because it's all about me. And if you were a really good carer, immediately their mind goes to you, and they may even call you or text you to tell you they're not feeling well. So, for the interesting conclusion, we kind of hit on it a bit in relation to how a narcissist actually regrets and how that is applicable to the narcissist. Guys, what the narcissist regrets is what you were able to give, supply, show, the attention, how you made the narcissist feel, how you did all the work for the narcissist, how you provided all the services for the narcissist. And that is the narcissist's value system of you to them. There is nothing special about you or me or the new supply other than the features we offer, just like a car or a washing machine. The more features we offer and the easier we are to manage, the buttons work when you press them. You don't have to do a big rigmarole before you can get the button to work. You don't have to press other buttons before you get that button to work. That's the narcissist value system. So the narcissist can even con themselves into believing that their value system is love. But it's just about what you can do for the narcissist, how you make the narcissist feel, what you can give the narcissist, and whereabouts you fit in when the narcissist needs you. You as a person, you as a special, beautiful soul, you as a unique human being that is irreplaceable in human terms in relationships, matter not, other than how that impacts the narcissist's ability to control you and get the goodies. So what I would say to you here, in the full understanding that it is a transactional relationship with a narcissist, if you are missing this person dreadfully, I would suggest to you to look for a real human relationship where you're valued as a person. And before you look for that, start to really value yourself as a person. Start to really give to yourself the way you would have given to the narcissist. Even if that's, in terms of self-care or spoiling yourself or whatever you'd consider, oh, that'd be selfish to do. Start doing that, because that practice tells your brain that you're a person of value. And start doing things that enhance your spirituality. Start doing things that are of you. And then really think about, if you want a transactional relationship and you're happy with that, the narcissist can definitely provide that. But you will suffer for it because it's not equal in transactions. You're the giver. You have to annihilate your life and your self-identity and any self-authority and any creative process that you might have as a human being to live this life that you were put on earth for. So you would have to subjugate your humanity and become a functioning object for a narcissist. So that's what you're actually missing, guys. But it takes a while for the cognitive dissonance to go, because the mask looked like a real human being who was capable, who you thought was like you because they just held a mirror up to you and said, this is me too. I'm like you. So hard as it is and harsh as it is, it may help in the healing to think. I remember the bridge I crossed in the healing journey was, well, I do miss my version of the narcissist, the person I thought they were. I did enjoy some of the times with that person, and I now wish them well. I'm significantly healed, so I totally wish them well. But what I don't miss, and what helped me cross that bridge, was I can't see them having anyway decent relationship with anybody else. So I don't feel I'm missing potential to have a good relationship with that person, because I accept them for who they are. I feel sorry for them. I feel very, very happy to have awakened and to have gone through a spiritual journey. And I wish they could too. And maybe nothing is impossible, but that's the way I closed the door and got closure. So I hope you'll do it your own way. You'll maybe do it very differently, I don't know. But understanding the capability of a narcissist in relation to interpersonal relationships, and particularly of the intimate variety, I think is very freeing. And I hope it frees you too, to have got down to the nitty-gritty of exactly it is as it is, the truth. I'm going to say goodbye for now. We will be with you again very, very soon. Happy journey in your healing.